Hola, culés. We came out with another W today. Wasn't exactly how I would have written it up, but it wasn't a bad performance overall. I think it was a fresh lineup, a solid outing against a solid side that it could have been more testy. We definitely could have won by a couple more goals as well if we finished better, but overall, a win is a win. I think we did get fortunate at some points, but the team showed some promise in areas that I think we've been lacking. Recently, we saw some guys come back and do very well. So we're going to get into the whole match today, but mostly focus on the performance of these players and what to expect going into the match on Sunday against either Real Madrid or Mallorca in the final of the SUPERCOPA, our first opportunity for silverware this year. And I think that's something I have to stress a lot this year, that this trophy is significant, even if it is small, because we didn't win anything last year. And so walking away this early with something to take from this season more than just an improvement in stats, especially when we're looking kind of uncertain in La Liga and there still is a lot to be seen with how this Champions League run and draw will play out moving forward. Now, back to this game, I think the team came out with a good strategy, a good mentality, and played kind of the football that we expected them to play when they have played all season. They played the high line, they pressed high, and everyone pretty much was who we expected to play, with the exception of Lamine, with him being back and apparently ready now. The team that was put out was the Gala 11 that we've seen for the most part, with the exception of maybe Dani Olmo in that number 10 spot with Gavi there instead. And there's a lot to touch on there, and actually on the Dani Olmo situation that we'll get into a little bit later, but it's confusing, so I don't even want to talk about it before the player ratings. But we're going to start with Szczesny, who I think had a great performance today. He came out of his box pretty well for, again, being the size that he is. I've talked about it in videos about Szczesny and Iñaki Peña before, where he is so large that it's going to be difficult for him to come out as certain and as quickly as Iñaki Peña does. Today, he did a pretty good job. It looked a little concerning at times, but also Unai Simon on the other end didn't look much better, and honestly, I think he looked worse, and Unai Simon is several inches shorter than the pole. So I'm very happy with his performance today. He made a couple of really good saves. Also did technically concede, but it ended up being offside, which is interesting because it was like the opposite of what you normally see from Peña, where Peña makes saves, but it ends up being offside, and then concedes when the guy is actually onside. But today, Szczesny made a save when he was onside and then let a goal in when he was offside. So, I'll take it. I'd rather it this way than the other way. Overall, I'm glad he started. I think he deserves an 8.5. That's what SofaScore gave him, and I think that's what he gets. On the ball, it was a little, rocky. I was going to say he forced some things and maybe rushed some things or took too much time even with some passes, where I think we could be a little bit quicker there. But realistically, for his second match and his first match against a really decent opposition, I'm pretty happy with the way he did today. And then we moved to the back line, where I think the fullbacks especially looked really good. I think Koundé and Balde both did better than they have in recent games. Balde specifically was much better going forward than we've seen from him. Obviously put a great ball in for Gavi's goal. Really, really well done from him today. I think he slowed down a little bit, wasn't as threatening. It could have also been the way that Athletic Club changed their strategy moving forward, potentially threatening more on that right side because of how defensively solid Koundé was today. But Balde looked good. 7.5, even an 8 is deserved pretty reasonably. Koundé, I think he was defensively really good for the most part. There were a few hiccups, but I think he was really solid defensively. Again, there wasn't a ton of opportunity for him going forward, and when he was there, it just it's just not where he excels, and that's something we need to look for. I think an attacking right back would be a great option to have. I know Hansi does have the option to use Hector Fort. He never does, so he's probably going to want to sign somebody over the summer if he's still here, and we'll see something. But I think Koundé deserves a 7.5 as well. I think that's very reasonable, and the same for Cubarsí. I think Cubarsí had a really, really good game on the ball and defensively was pretty solid and showed up for us when we needed him to. I think 7.5 is fair. Inigo Martinez was less significant to me today than Cubarsí was. Still around, but besides really holding the high line well and stepping in and making a tackle that would end up leading to our second goal, he wasn't as apparent to me as Cubarsí was. I'm going to give him a 7. But then comes to our midfield, which I think was the best part of the game. I think Pedri and Caicedo were fantastic today, not only in winning the ball back for both of them, but at moving the ball around, keeping possession, and moving it forward. Well done. Really well done. I rarely have anything bad to say about the two of them. And I'm even more impressed by Caicedo, the fact that he has stepped into this side and been so consistent and so well-rounded so often with rarely putting a foot wrong. It's really, really impressive. I'm going to give them both an 8. I think that's very reasonable. And I think it's even more impressive how good Casado is when you compare it to how poor Frankie has been. I know Frankie is battling an injury, but he just seems off of it, and they're playing in different positions too, so it's not necessarily a fair comparison, but Casado looks great. And at 21 years old, never really getting a chance for the first team. Well done, man. I'm so proud. I'm so happy that he came out of nowhere, because this team would have been in a much worse spot if it weren't for Casado. And then Gavi, who is right up there with my man of the match with Chesney. I think they should share the honors, because I think without the two of them, this game's a lot more hairy. Gavi was fantastic, scored a really solid goal, put in a really good ball that would end up leading to Lamine's goal, and was overall just very intense, doing Gavi's thing while being great at the number 10 spot. Nowhere near where we thought he would end up playing last season, or coming into the season. We thought it was going to be Pedri in that number 10 spot. Gavi was going to be playing deeper, and I've said that multiple times. That's what I thought was going to happen, but turns out he's great at the number 10 side. I think he presses incredibly well. It helps offset the Lewandowski inability to press at times, which we definitely saw today, and in partnership with Rafinha can be really, really fun and dangerous. Now, speaking of Rafinha and Lewandowski and Gavi, I think they were doing a lot of those runs in behind, and we looked decent on the left, but the finishing wasn't necessarily there from Rafinha and Lewandowski. It didn't come out as much as I would have liked to see it, but they did okay. I'd like to see a little bit of that creativity that definitely showed up today. Whether it came together into a goal is one thing, but actually seeing it happen and being maybe more comfortable to do it, maybe because Lamine was on the pitch, something like that, it looks pretty good today, and that gives me confidence again going against other defensively decent teams like we're probably going to end up facing in Real Madrid or Mallorca. So for Raf, I'm going to give him a 6.5 just because he missed a couple of chances and didn't look his best today. He looked okay, didn't finish the greatest though, and we need him to start putting in these chances, even if they're difficult. That's what he was finishing earlier this season. That's part of the reason we won so many games by so many goals. He was finishing like a madman, and the same can be said for Lewandowski. He's reverted a little bit back to the mean. He's never been the most elite finisher relative to his XG. It doesn't mean he's a bad striker. That's not what I'm saying. I think a lot of people want to say that. That's not the case. He gets into good positions. He gets good chances. Like, he missed a glaring opportunity today. His link-up play wasn't great today either. I'm going to give him a 6 because of that, more specifically than his miss, because I think that's more dangerous. Not dangerous, but that hurts the team more than him missing one opportunity a game. If he could link up better, we could keep the ball more often, and we could just hold the ball, which is something we definitely struggled to do this season. So I would like to see some improvement from him. Hopefully he puts it together, maybe with playing a little bit less. He could see that, and that might be an option with Ferran Torres back now, but we'll see. We saw Ferran Torres come in for him. We'll see if that ends up being more of a permanent sub or going forward. But Lamine looked okay. He looked like he hasn't played football in a little while, which is realistic because that is the case. He hasn't played football in a little while, but he was rushing things. He was a little bit frustrated when it wasn't coming off, and he was also being a little nonchalant on the ball, which usually is fine for him. But when he's not as sharp as he normally is, it doesn't look as good. Great finish and great run to get in the space. Well done to take his time and not rush it. He did really well on his goal, but I think it wasn't his best performance. He looked a little frustrated, and so I'm going to give him a 7.5 just because he can do better. And he could settle himself, even if he is not in form. Finding a way to help the team in possession is good, and he did a decent job of that today. And maybe we could see more of that going forward as well. And I do think the team overall looked more comfortable with Lamine on the pitch. And so I'd love to get into the Dani Olmo and Pau Victor situation because it is a little weird right now. But I'm going to get into the subs real quick, and then we're going to talk about that. And basically, there's not a ton to touch on. I think Fermin Lopez looked okay. Again, wasn't his greatest contribution to the team. Did a decent job helping Balde win the ball back or break out of possession a few times, but didn't look the greatest. Had a few opportunities to put a good cross in, but it got blocked off. And overall, not the most threatening. He's not really a winger, though he can play there on the left side. So it's not the most ideal situation for him, though I would like to see more from him. 6, I think, is fair. Frankie de Jong probably almost gave us a goal. You could argue that was, but it came off the Athletic Club player. I know it was number 11. I don't know his name. It's unfortunate for them, but it does come off an Athletic Club player before heading to Iñaki Williams, who is offside. It would have been fine if it was just Frankie's pass back, but Frankie, yeah, not a good game from him. I'm going to give him a 5.5 probably just because he did miss a chance, though, it wasn't the easiest chance. There was somebody on the line to block it. It's not really on him. It was really just that pass back was really, concerning and not what I want to see from him. I would like to see him play better. All you guys say I look like him. I don't see it, but I still would like to have a depth in the midfield where we can have confidence in that third, fourth, and fifth guy. We can't really right now with Frankie de Jong playing this way. So I'd like to see him figure it out a little bit more. Maybe he will. I don't really know. He's playing that number 10 position, and it just doesn't look great. Speaking of doesn't look great, Ferran Torres looked fine today. He got into a couple good positions again, but was thrown around a little bit, just like Lewandowski was. But does a little bit of a better job in link-up play, in my opinion, than Lewandowski does normally, which is something really I think this team could benefit from. So we'll see how that changes everything going forward. Today, he looked fine. I'll give him a 6.5 because I think he did look better than Frankie and for me, but overall not wildly impressive. And then Eric Garcia was solid. I'll give him a 7. I think he was just consistent, didn't really put a foot wrong, didn't have a ton of opportunities to put a foot wrong, but was there when he needed to and put a couple good balls in behind and played a couple good long balls. Gerard Martin, though, you guys know I'm not that big of a fan of him. I know none of you are. I'll give him a 6. I think he looked okay today, but not great. It's very unimpressive for me. For some reason, Hansi Flick doesn't like playing Hector Fort, though. So, whatever. It is what it is. Everybody has their favorites, and Gerard Martin's a favorite for some reason. I would have liked to see maybe some Tony Fernandez or Pablo Torre today. I think Torre has been playing so well, he probably deserves some minutes. But Pablo Torre has been so good in the matches he's gotten that I think he deserves more play time, and I think he needs it. And I was kind of hoping that with Dani Olmo not being in the lineup, he would get the chances to play. But clearly, he's just not the priority. And it seems like I was inferring before that Dani Olmo and Pau Victor might be registered now. It's not clear. Nothing is certain with this team ever. But right now it does seem like they are going to be able to get it over the line because some court ruled that it could be okay for a little while. How long that is or what that really means going forward is uncertain to me and I'm pretty sure to most people in Spain. But it should seem like Dani Olmo and Pau Victor can play at least in the Supercopa final, which is good. Having more depth to split up the minutes is good. I don't want Gavi playing every game because he can't. He's coming back from injury. Same with Lewandowski. I would love to see Pau Victor or Ferran Torres even start that game. I don't think it'll happen. I think Lewandowski's going to start that game, and then one of the two of them will probably come in. Almost certainly Ferran Torres. But we'll see how it goes going forward. It's a messy situation, and obviously nothing can be clean with this team, and it can never be certain. I was trying to make a video on Pablo Torre because I think he is very promising, but now I feel like I might have to push that back. I'm not sure what's going on, but whatever. Good win. I'm excited for Sunday. For all of you guys that are going to be watching, I'm going to be live on Big Up, so you guys can watch the game along with me. The link will be at the top of chat. Make sure you guys sign up and come watch over there. Everyone who does seems to love it. But thank you guys for watching. And if you haven't already, go check out this football talk that I did with Rabona TV. It was really cool. We talked about Barcelona and the future of what we think is going to happen in the next couple of months. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.